Hey, good morning, everyone. Josh Black here. I'm a senior concept artist at Stoke Games, and I teach figure drawing anatomy here online on my YouTube channel. Also, you can find my tutorials, brush packs, and ebooks on Proko.com and Gumroad. Today, I just want to do a quick study with everyone on the anatomy of the arm, focusing mostly on the anatomy of the brachialis. It's the underlying muscle just below the biceps brachii, the main biceps muscle. I feel like this is a muscle that a lot of artists, especially beginners, mess up, and even more veteran artists sometimes will kind of forget where this muscle goes in relationship to all the other muscles in the upper arm. So we're just going to do a quick profile sketch. For those that are familiar with my work, I always like to start off with a very loose gesture, just to kind of block in the main direction of what we're sketching, and also to get the overall rhythm. See, I think that color one's a bit low. Erase that. So here I'm using my soft sketch brush, and again, I'm just doing a light circle to indicate the location of the deltoids of the shoulder, and this big swooping line just to get a overall flow and direction of the arm, connecting the upper arm to the lower arm. And then here, this little nook, we have the elbow, or the olecranon being the technical term. And then down here we have the wrist. So now we can just kind of quickly block in the main muscles. Here we have the mass of the deltoids, and you can see that the mass definitely favors the anterior of the body, anterior referring to the front, posterior referring to the back. But yeah, the bulk of the mass is located near the front of the arm, and that little tip there of the base of the deltoids will actually overlap the brachialis, and the front of the shoulders will actually overlap the chest muscles, and the chest muscles will overlap the biceps brachii. So I'm just giving, from the profile view here on the lateral side, lateral meaning like on, away from the body, the mass of the brachialis looks larger than that of the biceps brachii. And then here I'm just going to block in our tricep muscles. You can kind of see it looks like a horseshoe shape. Or you could even say, to me, it kind of looks like the Maui's hook on Disney's Moana from the profile. And then this shape here is kind of like the fascia and tendon that connects the tricep muscles to the olecranon, the elbow. I would say one of the more important things to focus on when you're drawing the arm is figuring out where the overlaps are. So again, we've established that the shoulder muscles will overlap the biceps uh, and the chest muscles. The chest muscles kind of tuck underneath the shoulder muscles and will overlap the biceps here. And the posterior or the back deltoids will overlap the triceps. So again, getting that overlap there is really important. And now we have our ridge muscles. And from this profile view, they actually overlap the brachialis and the biceps brachii. You can see that. And it kind of wraps around. So it begins on the lateral side of the arm, and then it wraps around the radius and the ulna. And it wraps around and over this little muscle here. The rear, let's see, what is it? The extensor carpi radialis brevis. It's a very long name for a very small, almost negligible muscle. I shouldn't say negligible, but most people forget its existence, and it's right there, and it's being overlapped here by those ridge muscles. Just going to block out the profile of the chest here. And the ridge muscles will also overlap the primary extensor muscle, being the extensor digitorum. And it's kind of this large muscle that feeds into the tendons that flow onto the lateral side of the hand. And actually, it flows all the way down through the fingers down to the fingertips. So that's a very important muscle right there. And then the extensor digitorum will overlap this little sliver muscle here. And here we have the other forearm muscle that helps form the furrow of the ulnar furrow that you can see alongside the forearm. Alright, so I wanted to make this a really quick study. So again, the main focus here is we're just highlighting this muscle here, the brachialis. And I am going to highlight that green. I'm going to turn that into a multiply layer. Lower the opacity a bit. And there we go. So that that right there is the brachialis muscle, and remember, it is underlying the biceps brachii. So let's go ahead and label the biceps brachii. And again, this mass here is of the deltoids. And I think the most important thing in relationship to remember in regards to the profile view of the arm is that the deltoids, most of the mass is on the anterior side of the arm. So you don't want to do this where you draw the deltoids and it's like the tip of it. The tip of the mass of the deltoids is like in the middle of the mass of the arms, because that's not right. It's going to be more oriented near the front of the arm. For those of you who are wondering, I am using Photoshop here, and I'm drawing on a Wacom 24 HD Cintiq. Here I'm just kind of roughly putting in the gesture of the scapula on the backside. We'll just put that kind of S curve of the back of the spine. So remember, the backside of the torso, you have kind of this S curve that covers the full gesture of the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar vertebrae. And then on the front, you have the kind of C curve that goes from the sternum, the pit of the neck, all the way down to the crotch. And again, this overlap here of these ridge muscles, overlapping the bicep muscles, the brachialis and the biceps brachii, that's critical. You definitely want to remember that overlap. That's definitely going to help out your arm drawings a great deal. And that's one of the biggest tools that most artists use to create a sense of depth in their drawings, is overlapping lines, even more so than, well, shading and lighting, of course. That creates depth and separation of volumes, but I would say line is more universal across like very stylized art, comic book art, cartoons, and also realistic art. Overlapping, the tool of the overlapping lines is used quite a bit. So anyway, there you go. There's a quick morning study just on kind of the arm muscles, focusing more on the brachialis and kind of the lateral side of the arm, and a little bit on the torso. So hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you enjoy these shorter videos, and I'll try to post more. Okay, thank you. Bye.